Hi there. I've been recently talking to a fellow pilgrim of Gnosticism, and he was saying about how he thinks that he's tending more towards studying the Upanishads and Vedanta and the Heart Sutra of Buddhism, looking at this whole issue of non-dualism as opposed to dualism, and linking it to Gnosticism. He says that non-dualism, or the doctrine of non-dualism, is there, but it's not spelt out as precisely as it is in the Upanishads or Vedanta generally. So I was contemplating this last night, and I came up here with what looks like to be quite a complex set of diagrams. Starting with the second one on the left, the one here, with the triangles and all that. That's kind of following traditional Gnosticism and what might be called traditional dualism, spirit, matter, soul, body kind of thing. Um, where everything is categorized and perhaps reduced to black and white thinking. Although it must be said that in this world, which is featured in this diagram, the world is a mixture of black and white and mostly grey, as we all know, as we have found out through experience. On the left hand, here there is this idea, the Kabbalistic reference here to the tree of life. And there is a reverse tree as well. And some Kabbalists say that the roots of the tree of life are found in heaven and the branches on earth. But the traditional, I suppose, the traditional Western magical tradition really doesn't want you to explore the reverse tree of life very much because it's associated with the Qipot and with madness and general obscurity. It's much better to study the tree of life with its roots in earth and its branches in heaven. But nevertheless, literally the two trees, the reverse tree and the upright tree, as concepts, sits side by side. And you could say this is a non-dualistic way of looking at things. Instead of saying the reverse tree is evil and the tree of life is wholly good, if it's as long as it's not reversed, but if you combine the two systems and you say that the reverse tree of life is perhaps to do with inspirational flow, and the upward tree with the roots in earth is to do with the aspirational flow, and the two energies work together. A bit like the energies that go up and down the spine of the human, according to tantric theory. So, I mean, again, you're looking, things are not looking so dualistic. But certainly, traditionally, in Gnosticism, you do have this stark dualism. You have a separation. Well, you have a binary system in most ancient religious paradigms, black and white. Gods and goddesses are sort of pushing and pulling. There's a binary system, or say black and white, gain and loss, reflecting the dualism of this world. I mean, everybody has always observed, that everything, what goes up must come down, and what goes forward must go backwards, and things go up in value and down in value, and in and out of fashion and so forth. We get permissive, and then we get quite strict about things, and then it goes back again. So it's all sort of a kind of a spiraling, loopy kind of thing. But for the purposes of categorization and looking at the world in rather grim sort of light, the world, you've got down here the shells, which are the Qipot, that feed off the qualities of this world, or the worlds of the demiurge, such as scarcity, accident, perceived threat, to name but a few qualities, negative qualities which if we react emotionally to, with negative emotions, the Quipot are very happy to feed off those negative emotions and destructiveness generally, because that's what their nature demands. That's how they feed. And all this is what they call the demiurgical world, which, as I said, reaches from the physical right up to the quite high etheric. And of course, in these worlds, you have darkness, you have body, you have matter, and you have water, the quality of water, which is a sort of Kabbalistic quality. I mean, you could say that within that, creativity happens within water, and all life on Earth actually was born from water. So what's evil about that? And so you could say darkness is evil, really. Darkness is necessary for germination to occur, without which we'd all be dead. The body obviously is necessary. You've got to you've got to work with what you've got, and the body is what you've got. And for that matter creates the tools that we're working with in order to transcend matter and body, water and darkness. We have to use the forces of water, matter, body, and darkness in order to reach enlightenment and transcendence. So it doesn't matter of saying, evil and good, but certainly the good is the good God, heaven, transcendence. You've got fire, which is the fire of aspiration, spirit, the Holy Spirit reaching down from heaven with grace and and the power of salvation, which I can never pronounce the adjective. Anyway, the power of salvation is at hand. You've got the idea of soul reaching up to heaven or on a journey back to heaven. And then obviously you have light, which is light, love, liberty, and love. The qualities are freedom and spiritual freedom, obviously, and corporeal freedom and political freedom for that matter. Although that gets a bit muddy after a while. And then you have a sort of straight blue line, a thin blue line between these qualities. And never the twain shall meet, except, of course, as we know, in this earth, they do meet. And we have the duality of this earth, which is a concept which is going perhaps above and beyond classical Gnosticism. But we also have the illusion of duality, the illusion of separateness from God, the illusion of ego, the illusion of being alone, the illusion of being empty, when in fact the reality is we are full all the time, and we are not separate from God, we just think we are. So we have non-duality, which is a sphere. This symbol for duality, like the two fish swimming against each other, a very ancient symbol. It becomes the yin-yang symbol when the seed of the opposite is found. When the seed of one thing is found in the opposite, in its opposite. So you get a black and white circle, sort of in the yin-yang symbol there. You get the sort of clear sphere, which is non-duality, which is the reality of the transcendental God, and all these kind of symbols spin around the mind. But then again, to get beyond duality altogether, and yet root yourself in this earth, we can talk about the festivals of the year, the 8 festivals. So we start off here with well, we're coming up to it now, Kumain or Kunain, which is the summer solstice, which is the light at its most powerful. Yet, of course, we must remember that the light is beginning to wane after the summer solstice. So, there's a sting in the tail there. There is zenith, but then there is also sorrow, because at the zenith, the sun must travel, must begin to wane after that. And so then again, so after that, we have Lunacer, which I've attributed to fire. That is the gathering of the corn and the alchemical concentration of the fire of the grain. to make the bread and the mead and well, the bread and the beer, and the concentration of the goodness of the earth in a form that human beings and animals can partake of, I suppose. Then we come to well, that's sort of going towards um, that's going towards the end of the year. So we're going from summer solstice to lunar, and then we go down, of course, to Mabon, which is the autumn equinox. And I've attributed that to matter, and then we go round to Sana or Sawain, which is to do with soul because it's to do with death and All Souls Day. These attributions are a bit kind of weird. And then we go down all the way down to Yule or the winter solstice, at the time of most darkness, and yet the light is returning, of course. And then we go to Imbolc, which is attributed to water because it's to do with birth and birthing, and women's mysteries. And then from there, I go to the vernal equinox, which is to do with spirit, the quickening of the spirit and the rising of the sap. And then finally ending up in my system of Beltane, which is to do with the body. So you've got fertility and you've got sexuality and you've got, again, the height of summer, I suppose, or the beginning of summer, some might see it. Of course, you have to remember all these attributes I put here on this on this chart. They're all swinging around. I mean, they're all swinging about, changing one to the other. Then nothing is fixed, according to this non-dualistic view. And you're sort of what you're doing is you're putting yourself there, in the middle of it all. And when you look at, for example, when you look at the light. It's like looking at a mirror. So you're seeing yourself in the mirror of light. You're seeing yourself in the mirror of matter, for example. So you turn that way and you look at matter. And you're seeing yourself in the mirror of matter, and so on and so forth. So every which way you turn, you're turning in 8 directions, and you're seeing a mirror at each of the 8 directions. And this mirror is kind of convex, concave, distorted mirrors, a bit like going into a fun fair, going down the hall of mirrors and all these different mirrors, and they're distorting your image, making you fat, thin, tall, short, bizarrely misshapen. So you turn in 8 directions, and in each 8 directions you see yourself mirrored in the particular quality. But the point is that spirit, matter, instead of being sort of at loggerheads with each other, they are just aspects of the self. So in this philosophy, you're bringing everything back to self, and self-analysis and self-insight and self-awareness. Because, of course, as you turn the 8 directions and you look at these mirrors, you're going to see yourself distorted, as it were. You look at body for Beltane, and you're going to see yourself as body, or as darkness, or as light, or as matter. You're going to see yourself in all these different ways. And I suppose when you turn around completely, you complete the full circle. You follow the year of the circle. You actually you know yourself in the end. Because you've seen yourself in all these 8 different ways, you see. And I suppose these 8 different ways also refer to the ways that people see you. So there could be 8 categories of person who see you according to a certain lens. So not only is matter, for example, a mirror, it's also a lens through which other people see you. So if they see you in a material way, they see one side of you. They see you in a dark way, through their own darkness, they see you as dark, and so on and so forth. So, but the point is that instead of having everything in a hierarchy, everything is now in a circle. It's more democratic, and the circle welcomes you, and you go into the circle, and perhaps you become one of the circle. So you become one with matter, or body, or darkness, or light, or spirit. and so forth. And you're sitting there in the circle, looking at the bond, looking at the fire within, the fire at the centre of the circle. All this is very Wiccan, I suppose. And you see the fire, which is representing yourself, the centre. You see. So all these kind of ideas are kind of spinning around in my mind, really, as they do. And I find, you find the point about this is we get rid of hierarchy. So instead of the shells being at the bottom and being outcast and evil, and God being at the top, sort of God being a potentate. God is like the CEO. And the shells are the little janitor that cleans the office. We got away from this hierarchical structure and dualistic structure, and we've entered into a more democratic structure and a more non-dualistic structure, and that is the reality, both of life and of transcendence. Whereas the hierarchical way of looking at things is the illusory way. And of course, we want to be, of course, the CEO. We want to be God, and that's a problem, isn't it? Really. Whereas in this system, you've only got yourself basically, and you're not God, and you're not dog. You're just yourself looking at yourself in a mirror, in the fire mirror, for example, or the matter mirror. And other people are seeing you through the lens of fire or the lens of matter or the lens of darkness or whatever. And you're seeing them through that lens as well. And at some point, we all kind of recognized suddenly that we should all really just go into the center and stop. Stop all this looking at yourself in a mirror and looking at other people through a particular lens, or looking at the world through rose-coloured glasses or through shades, and we should just stop and go into the centre, and just be. So then, of course, we're heading into Buddhist territory here, and Zen territory. But I think that in defence of Gnosticism, of classical Gnosticism, though, and dualism, the Sethian and dualism, and the dualism of money, I think that still, when you look at the world and all its, and the various tricks of the devil and temptations of this world, you can see that, in a sense, the transcendent model is quite a good one, because it keeps your eye on the ball, as it were. You keep your eye, you keep your sense of aspiration alive by looking upwards, as it were, rather than looking into the morass, where you're going to get despairing, and then like Saruman in the Lord of the Rings, you're going to join forces with Sauron. Because you just say Sauron can't be beaten, so I'll have to join Sauron instead, and that's the corruption of Saruman in the Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. So rather than join forces with the shells and with the demiurge, there is some part of you which keeps on keep on looking at the transcendental, which keeps on trying to find the transcendental within yourself. But I suppose the most non-dualistic model of all is the tree of life, even with its reverse tree, because although that as well was still looking at hierarchy as well, so I'm not quite sure. And hierarchy on one side, with the branches in heaven. And yet, also, like the 23rd hexagram, it's also revolution, and you turn the whole tree upside down, and that makes sense as well. And you've got two kind of models making sense at the same time, even though they appear to be reverse of each other, or opposed to each other, or adversarial to each other. So all these kind of thoughts kind of whiz around in my mind, and probably whizzing around in your mind in a hopeless kaleidoscope of colours, and strange doodling and God knows what. And in the end, you just say, "Oh, please shut up and go and have a cup of tea or something and leave us alone, and stop being so egotistical and thinking you know everything. When in fact you don't know anything at all, which is probably much nearer the truth. Well, the truth is I know know some things, and don't know other things, which is kind of the truth of us all, really. Anyway, so I thought I'd kind of, I'm sorry about this incoherent ramble uh, through dualism and non-dualism. I think when you begin to discuss these matters, you sort of do go a bit loopy in the end. And you end up sort of contradicting yourself, and nothing really kind of making sense, as it were, really. At least now, nothing makes sense to me now. I thought I kind of cracked it, but now I don't know what I've done, really. I think I've just confused myself totally and utterly now. But I do rather like the 8 festivals, and the attributes of them. But my favourite really is the affirmational words which I assign to the tree of life, such as engage, accept. I have to close my eyes at this point. Unite, enjoy, be kind, fear not, forgive, convey, declare, let go. I think as power words, you can put them in a circle as well. And instead of kind of saying that one is better than the other, all the knights of the round table are kind of gathered. And you can say these words in any order you like, as needed, so you're very flexible. And you're going to draw on the wisdom of these words and teachings that they represent, and contemplate the words whenever you need to, which is all that you can do in this particular dimension in the worlds of the demiurge. We have to adapt or die. That's the task that we have, and we have to survive. We have a duty to survive, because we have to use the tools that we have scattered around over the realms of the demiurge. These tools are scattered around it, like in a computer game. And you find all these various things that help you to level up, and to play the game better, and more effectively. Or you can choose, of course, to ignore these these things that you find in this world, and choose to play choose to play the game the hard way, and which some people are attracted to as well. So hard or easy, up or down, forward or backward. This is dualism, and perhaps this is the greatest illusion of all. And all we basically have to do is close our eyes, and suddenly we know reality. We know we go beyond illusion, and we know things as they truly are, not how we would wish them to be or how we think they are, due to the perceptions that are given to us by the demiurge. We see things clearly. We see things darkly, but we also see things clearly, and the light begins to dawn on us, and all is well, and all is good, and all is best in the best possible of all worlds. Have I got that right? No, I haven't. Anyway, you know what I mean. The great work is accomplished, and we're all happy. And now I'm going to have a cup of coffee and a chocolate bar, even though processed sugar is bad for you, because I think I deserved it. Because I've confused you all so completely now, that I think, and myself as well, that I think it's time for a coffee break, and a lie down in a darkened room. Oh, the Mad Hatter laughs. Was it the Joker? I don't want to be like the Joker. I think I'd rather be the Mad Hatter than the Joker. If that's any, it's all the same to you. Now, where's my cursor gone? Oh, there it is.